Woo. Walk it like I talk it. 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 Woo. Walk it like I talk it. 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 Woo. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it.
What's up, Orlando? Now, how's everybody doing in here? I'm not convinced that y'all are doing so well. How's everybody doing in here? Holy cow. Listen, how do y'all like our choice for Lieutenant Governor? Let me tell you, Chris is, you can see why we made that choice. Chris King is a man of integrity. Chris King is a hard-working fella. Chris King is a family man in addition to being a businessman. And ladies and gentlemen, with your help, Chris King will be the next great lieutenant governor of the great state of Florida. That's right. Listen, I'm blown away. I am overwhelmingly humbled by this room, by this campaign, and by what we are going to do a short 59 days from now when we flip this state. When we flip this state back into the hands of everyday working people again. And I believe we're gonna do it. I believe we're gonna do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't help but give a heartfelt thank you, not only to my new Lieutenant Governor, Chris King, but to Senator Nelson, who we have got to bring it home. Let's bring it home. I want to thank our Congresswoman from this distinguished area, Congresswoman Val Demings. I want to thank Congressman Darren Soto. Darren. I want to thank our nominee for Attorney General Sean Shaw in his absence. Y'all, I want to thank a man who knows how to count, the next CFO of this state, Jeremy Ring. Our next Agricultural Commissioner and Consumer Services Commissioner, Ms. Nikki Freed. Y'all, you gotta join me in giving it up for the greatest MC in all the land, who also happens to be a pretty dynamic Florida legislature, Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith. And we would not be here physically in this space were it not for the hard work, dedication, commitment of a local public servant that you all know, Commissioner Regina Hill. Now y'all can't miss Regina Hill if you try. She is sparkling and shining. She is lighting it up over here. I also have to give it up for the King family. I am honestly moved by their love, by their commitment, by their dedication, and by their service to our great state. I want to begin with Charlie, Mary Grace, and Luke, obviously Kristen, and Mr. and Mrs. King. I know y'all were out here, but I'm not sure where you are physically. Right here. Will y'all please join me in giving it up for the entire King family? And I also have to thank the woman who allows this to be possible for me. First, the woman who's allowed this to be possible for me is my mama. Because, hey, Ma, I'm not a scientist, but y'all understand how that works, right? Thank you, Mother. I also want to thank the other woman who stands behind me, beside me, and in many days in front of me, leading me by my nose, a woman who is raising alongside me 3 amazing children in the form of Jackson, Caroline, and Davis, a woman who in her own right is an amazing professional. And y'all, if we do our job, she will make an amazing First Lady of the great state of Florida. My wife, RJ Gillum. Love you, baby. And if y'all didn't notice in our announcement video, the two rock stars of this campaign, without a doubt, are RJ and Kristen. All right? They are wickedly smart, wickedly brilliant, and also wickedly funny. And on a side note, they both know how to cut a rug. They are dancers. And then I want to thank every last single one of you, those who are in this room, those who are on the other side of your Facebook and your Snapchat and your Instagram and your however form you're communicating out from today. Those are the individuals along with you that made this moment possible. Give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourselves. Because of you, we did what many thought was impossible. I love you back. I mean that. We did what was said to be impossible. And we did it, y'all, not by shrinking from who we are, not by shying from what we believe, not by trying to be another person or another party, but by standing firmly in our truth and by talking to voters all across this state about who we are and the difference we want to make in the lives of everyday Floridians. Now, let me tell you a little bit about these everyday Floridians, because Chris and I consider ourselves just two among them. Y'all heard me along this trail talk about oftentimes my mother, who growing up was a school bus driver, and my daddy, who growing up was a construction worker. And I often said that when my daddy didn't have construction work to do, you would find him selling fruits or vegetables on the street corner. My mother, when Florida got rid of summer schools, became a presser in the dry cleaners up the street from where we live. Between the two of them, they are the best example of hard work that I know to this day. Best example. Best example. Because they did what so many Floridians do every single day. They get up and they dress themselves. If they got children, they put them together and maybe get them on a school bus or walk them down the street to school. Or maybe if they're like me, you need a couple of extra hands. So grandmama and my mother-in-law and others help to get things ready and prepared before they make their way off for the day. These are people who are just like you and me. They want the very, very best for their family. They want the very best for their children. And what our responsibility is, Florida, is to build a state that is deserving of their hard work, deserving of their investment, deserving of the untapped potential of the future of their children. Some of you all know the story of the Maasai. And if you don't, allow me a moment to tell you about it. The Maasai tribe is an East African village that was known over the arc of history for demonstrating excellence in all things. They were excellent hunters and gatherers. They were excellent warriors. They, on average, had an average height of 6'3". Imagine that, RJ. And they had a common greeting that they would extend between each other. No matter whether it was a woman encountering a family, a man encountering a family, they would exchange the same greeting. And it was simple, in my opinion, pretty profound. When they would encounter each other, they would simply ask, "And how are the children? And how are the children? And how are the children?" Because they are a society that recognizes that how well we are doing is very much so based on how well the children are set up to do, right? Can you all imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine having a governor of this great state who makes decisions about this state and this state's future, our children, for the generation that comes after us? Well, y'all, that's what we're going to get when you elect Gillum-King to be your next governor and lieutenant governor, because we believe that we ought to have a state where folks can work one job instead of multiple jobs and make ends meet. We believe in a state where people can be paid a wage, where they're paid a wage with dignity. You understand what we mean when we say dignity? It means that not only do you earn a wage where you can maybe pay your bills at the end of the month, but maybe you're able to save up enough money and maybe take a weekend vacation once a year. That shouldn't be too much to ask in this great state of ours. I believe in a state where you have a governor who actually believes in science. We got to call it like it is. Because right now, Rick Scott says he's not a scientist and can't say whether or not global warming and climate change is real. Never mind, we've got algae blooms flowing out of the east and the west side of this state of guacamole content. We've got red tide that is causing unforetold sea death, washing up on our shores. Our air quality, our water quality, our sea life, all at risk because we've handed over the reins of environmental protection to the biggest polluters in this state. Well, that's going to end when we win this race. That's going to end. Y'all, I believe in a state where we have a real criminal justice system that actually serves the purpose of restoring people, of restoring folks. Because I'm a firm believer that once you have committed a crime and you have paid your debt to society, you ought to be able to re-enter society, have your right to vote, and more importantly, you ought to be able to re-enter this state and have your opportunity to go and work a job where you can earn a wage, take care of yourself and your family, and disrupt the criminal justice cycle, which has far too many people in this state stuck, shut out, and absent of opportunity. Y'all, I believe in a state where healthcare is treated as a right and not a privilege. I believe that. I believe we deserve a state where people don't have to be terrified of getting sick. Because when they get sick, they can't go to work. And when they cannot go to work, they cannot earn a wage. And when they cannot earn a wage, they can't pay their bills. And when they don't pay their bills, their lights get turned off, their rent or their mortgages don't get paid. And they find themselves in a cycle of poverty. And by the way, this isn't just the poor. Middle class, working class people who are terrified that they may be one illness away from bankruptcy. Well, y'all, when we win this race for governor, we're going to first extend Medicaid to over 700,000 of the most medically needy people in our state. 700,000. We're going to extend Medicaid. And by the way, by extending Medicaid, we're going to pull down $6 billion in federal money that is right now being distributed to other states, all because we have a governor and a legislature that don't believe in Obamacare. Right? Y'all, I want you to know that when you elect us governor, we are going to finally lean into the infrastructure challenges of this state, build high-speed rail across the state of Florida, invest. Because y'all know what happened the last time when Barack Obama tried to send us over $2 billion. What did our governor say? No, thank you. We don't believe in Obama's stimulus money. Well, y'all, think of the number of people that could have gone to work. Think of the number of jobs that could have been created that would have been good jobs for the state of Florida. Well, when we win this race, y'all, we're going to not only lean into our infrastructure challenges of this state, but we're also going to lead into the human infrastructure challenges that confront this state. We're going to be a state, y'all, that has a place for all of us. And we're going to begin, y'all, by investing in our public education system, where we begin by paying teachers what they are worth for doing the most difficult job that exists on earth. We're going to invest $1 billion into increasing teacher salaries and the salaries of our working professionals, because right now in the state of Florida, our average salary for teachers is the 45th lowest out of all 50 states. Now listen, if my grandmother were here, she would say, that's a crying shame. She would say it's a crying shame, y'all, because some shame is worth crying about. How we treat our children, how we treat our educators who, in my opinion, do some of the most difficult work that exists on earth. These are the people who are responsible outside of our households for the shaping, the molding, the inspiring, the cultivating, the encouraging of the minds of our most precious gifts, our children. And so we got to begin by honoring them. But there are a few other things that we're going to do. Because right now in the state of Florida, 40% of our kids are arriving at kindergarten not ready to learn. And that's why we're going to ensure that we equip all of our children. 0 to 5 is where it's at. Over 90% of brain development. Over 90% of brain development takes place between the ages of 0 and 5. And so what we're going to do is ensure that our kids get access to high quality early learning so that they're ready to learn when they get to kindergarten. Y'all, we're also going to get rid of this regime of high stakes testing, which doesn't tell us what our kids know. This regime of high stakes testing doesn't tell us what our kids know, but it tells us how well they take a test. It is the wrong measure for determining a child's outcome. We're also going to reinfuse back into our public education system of this state the kind of thing that used to exist. Because while college worked for me, for my older brothers, it was woodwork, shop, mechanical, electrical, technical, all of those kinds of programs. All of those kinds of programs that if you were not on a college-bound track, and it's okay not to be on a college-bound track. It's okay. But if you are not on a college-bound track, we're going to equip you with the knowledge and the skills and the tools that you need to monetize that skill, go to work, get a job that leads to a wage that you can live on. We're going to bring that back to the state of Florida. And if you want to start a business in the state of Florida, we want to make sure that you have access to the capital and the resources that you need so you don't have to be on the first thing flying out of here in order to go and see your dreams come true by creating your business. By creating opportunity and innovation, we're going to become the innovation capital of this country right here in the state of Florida. Right here in the state of Florida. What we're also going to become here in the state of Florida, since we're known as the Sunshine State, is we're going to be the capital of solar energy globally. Right here. Right here. Right here. I got to tell you, I don't get it. This isn't Democrat or Republican. This isn't red, it isn't blue, it isn't purple. This is common sense, it is decent, and it is right. That we play a leading role, not just in this country, but in this nation, in creating the energy sector of the future. We can do that right here in the state of Florida. We can do that right here in the state of Florida. Y'all, we're also going to be a state that respects a woman's right to make her own reproductive health decisions. We're going to be that state. We're going to be that state. We're going to be that state because you want to know something? It seems to me that the only people who are so interested and consumed by what a woman does happens to be Republican men. Right? I don't get it. I don't get it. I hope I didn't offend you, but I'm telling the truth. What I also want you to know, y'all, is when we arrest control back over this state, and we're going to do it on November 6th, when we arrest control back over the state of Florida, we're going to have a state that is the marvel of many. Too often, Florida is seen always as the uh-oh state. Uh-oh, it's Florida. Uh-oh, they done it again. Uh-oh, they can't run elections. Uh-oh, we got close enough, but we couldn't get past it. We're going to change that narrative on November 6th because we're going to show not just the people of the state of Florida, y'all, but given what we are facing in Washington, D.C., where we have an absence of leadership, an absence of moral fortitude or courage, an absence of decency, of humanity, an absence of common sense. Right here in the state of Florida, we have an opportunity to send an unapologetic message. A message that says there is still decency in the United States of America. A message that says there is still common sense to be found in the United States of America. A message that says we don't separate children from their families just because of the color of their skin or the language they may speak. A United States that says we have respect for all God's people. Yellow, black, white, male, female, LGBT, those who have faith and those who have faith in something else. We're going to be a state that allows for all of us to see ourselves reflected. This ticket, the Gillum-King ticket, is a ticket that I believe best reflects the everyday lived experiences of people in this state. And the reason we're going to win, y'all, is because we're going to be unafraid to travel to every single part of the state of Florida. In the primary election, I talked about my visits to the villages. Y'all know about the villages, right? The villages is the most conservative voting precinct in the state of Florida. But we went to the villages, and I thought I was going there for a 50-person meet and greet. And I got there, y'all, and this room was teeming with over 500 retirees. Almost not another face that looked like mine, and that was okay. And I talked to them about my vision for the future of this state, about the North Star that we have for where we want to go as a people. And when I finished, this elderly white gentleman stood up and he said, I believe Gillum ought to be the next governor. And he said, I want to give you $20 to help you along your way. Y'all reacted the way I react. I'm like, this the villages. I know you got more than $20. But we took it. And then he challenged the rest of the room. He said, if you've got $50 or $5 or $20, I want you to invest it in Andrew Gillum. And all of a sudden, this meet and greet becomes an impromptu fundraiser. And we walked out of there. Raising nearly $6,000 in $5, $10, and $20 contributions. We're gonna win this race for governor, y'all, because as Democrats, we have to be willing to talk to everybody. We have to be willing to go everywhere. Because when you're the governor of the state of Florida, you gotta be the governor for all of the people of the state of Florida. All the people. Now listen, we know what Ron DeSantis wants to talk about. Ron DeSantis wants to call names. He wants to divide. He wants to return to the politics of Donald Trump. But y'all, on November 6th, Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump have another thing coming. They got another thing coming. Because right here in our state, we're going to show them that that brand of politics doesn't work in 2018. Not here in Florida. Not here in Florida. The president is real savvy on his Twitter feed. He tends to talk about me in Montana and in other places, but he's unfortunately a little too cowardly. He won't at me, y'all. We can't get him to talk directly to me. I got a theory around why that is. The president fears that he may meet his match. Let me tell you, we're not gonna get in the gutter with these folks. We're not gonna get in the gutter. But when it comes to what we believe, we're gonna fight fiercely on behalf of what we believe and what we believe will help transform this state. We're gonna fight fiercely for it. They want to talk about the past. They want to distract. They want to use all kinds of derisive objects to distract the people of the state of Florida. Well, we're going to inspire the people of the state of Florida around health care, around jobs, around a wage that people can live on, around an environment that is clean, both our air and our drinking water. We're going to inspire the next generation of people in this state who, if they want to go to college, they can graduate from college without graduating under a mountain of debt. We're going to inspire people in this state. We're going to inspire people in this state that we have access to opportunity right here in the state of Florida. We're going to inspire people to choose us because we're going to be setting a new high bar for what it means to call this state home. We're going to turn from being a back-of-the-pack state to a leading state in every single category. On November 6th, y'all, we have an opportunity, and we don't want to squander that opportunity. But I want you to know this. Chris and I recognize that we can't get there by ourselves. We can't get there alone. We need you not only to pull out your phones and go to our site and sign up to volunteer, but we need you to sow a seed. We need you to deposit $5, $10, $20. Do like my mama does. She's on an auto deduct payment of $20 a month. All right? But you're going to have to accelerate it because we only got 2 months to do it in. But it's going to be the voices of everyday people who reclaim this state. I believe it in my core that the reason we're going to win this race is because we recognize what this race is about. While my name and Chris's name may be on the ballot, we want y'all to know that this is not about us. I learned that lesson very early on. I used to tell folks about my grandmother, Ella Baker Jackson, who growing up would have a daily ritual. Because my mama and daddy would have to get up so early in the morning to go to work, they would load us all in the car. And I'm one of 7 kids, so don't ask how many car seats there were. And they would drive us a short distance to my grandmother's house. My grandmother would let us sleep a little bit longer before she would get us up and ready for the day. She would do 2 things. One, she'd take her bottle of olive oil, her blessing oil, and she put a blessing on my forehead. It was her way of sending us out so that no harm would come our way. And then she would say in her mantra, and only in the way that she could, boy, go to school. Mind your teachers. Get your lesson. And one day bring that education home. She would say, bring it home for your little brother and your little sister who don't know what it is yet. Bring it home. She would say, bring it home for that little boy down the street that you play with. God knows where he gonna end up. She was right. His name was Nuke, and Nuke was always in trouble. She said, bring it home for your mama and your daddy who get up every day to go out there and work on somebody else's job in order to keep a roof over your head and clothes on your back and food on the table. Bring it home. Now, I would have to admit that I didn't always know what my grandmother was trying to communicate, but I would come to learn that what she was saying is that it wasn't just about me. That it wasn't even just about my little brother and my sister, my mother and father, the little boy down the street. It was about all of us. There was a belief that if I went far in life, we would all go far in life. That if I did good, we would all do good. There was a sense, y'all, of community, that we were in this thing together. And somehow in society, we've allowed the other side to convince us that the only way we win is by individually stepping on the neck and on the face and on the shoulders and on the backs of other people. Well, y'all, I resent that. I reject that brand of politics. Because I believe that we all do good when we all do good. We all do good when we all do good. So what I want you to know is that Chris and I are clear that our names are simply a veneer on the ballot. That what sits beneath our names is a healthcare system that works for everybody. Our teachers who need to get paid what they're worth. Our kids who need an opportunity that should not be defined by their zip code, where they live, or what side of the track they grow up on. What sits underneath our name on the ballot, y'all, is an environment that is in desperate need of a governor who cares for it again. What sits underneath our name is a state that wants to be encouraged and inspired, not divided, but brought together. What sits beneath our name is hope and opportunity and a future, not just for me and my kids, but for the kids whose names I can't call, for the faces I can't recognize. But I believe that if we get a governor in the form of Andrew Gillum-King, a lieutenant governor in the form of Chris King, that we have an opportunity to show the rest of the nation what is possible. That it doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter what your mama or your daddy do for a profession. Doesn't matter whether you started at the bottom, that any one of us, given the strength of our character and our hard work to make a difference, with hands to work with and feet to walk or move with a heart to care with, a brain to think with, that anything is possible. Y'all, let's send a message to the rest of the nation, and if that message has to come from Florida on November 6th, let's let the word go out nation and worldwide that the politics of hope and aspiration and inspiration and opportunity still lives, and it lives right here in the state of Florida. Let's bring it home. Let's bring it home. Let's bring it home. 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 Come on, Chris, Kristen. Come on, guys. Come on up. Y'all, I want you to welcome the people who are prepared to leave it all on the field. The folks who you all can be proud to have as your next governor and lieutenant governor. The families who are going to work for the rest of these 59 days and 4 to 8 years beyond to make sure once again this is a state that works for all of us. Will you welcome the Gillum-King family?